This is Performance Anxiety on the Pantheon Podcast Network, and I'm your host, Mark. Today's guests make me laugh a lot. I'd like to welcome Jake Zavracky and Elizabeth LeBaron to the show. Together, they make up the Dream Eaters, and this entire episode could have gone off the rails at any moment. From the very beginning, things were different than just about any other show. For example, doing the actual podcast took Elizabeth by surprise. And once we got everything going, Jake and Elizabeth had different views on things like how they met and how they came up with the band's name. There are tons of stories in this one, like Jake's contributions to The Sopranos, Late Night with Jimmy Fallon, NCIS, and the Gameplay Network. And Elizabeth discusses the legend of the stolen clarinet. I also learn what patent leather pants have to do with having a large vocabulary. The Dream Eaters is not your normal band. In fact, the idea was initially for a show, not a band. And that explains things like why many songs are under 30 seconds in length. And speaking of the music, going back and listening to their catalog really blew me away. Not only is the music good, they play in a lot of different styles. The reason for that could be because, as Elizabeth says, Jake is the songwriter and she is the director/sidekick. There's always been an element of humor to the music, but there was a point at which it comes to the forefront and doesn't leave. Jake and Elizabeth talk about how they come up with some of their most ridiculous songs, but ridiculous in a good way. In fact, we kind of almost write a song during the podcast, and that alone is worth the price of admission. So check out Jake and Elizabeth at We Are The Dream Eaters on Instagram and at The Dream Eaters on everything else, including TikTok, where they post a bunch of their videos. Pick up all their music on Bandcamp. And follow us at Performance ANX on socials. Our merch can be found at performanceanx.threadless.com. And you can keep us awake with money for coffee at ko-fi.com/performanceanxiety. Now prepare to expect the unexpected with Jake and Elizabeth of the Dream Eaters on Performance Anxiety on the Pantheon Podcast Network.
Sorry, Mark, what do you want me to say exactly? Just like, hey, this is Jake Zavracky from the Dream Eaters, and you're listening to Performance Anxiety. We have a new single after. That's why I was wondering. There's a new single coming out on the 28th, so...
Oh, yeah, it's my birthday.
Okay, so do you want me to do the intro again? Hey, you ready?
I'm all set.
Okay, here we go. Hey, this is Jake Zavracky from the Dream Eaters, and you're listening to Performance Anxiety. Get our new single, I Am Bleeding Internally, on June 28th, everywhere, streaming everywhere. Get it.
They have to get it because that's my birthday.
Is it?
Yeah, June 28th.
Oh, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That'll be my birthday gift to me.
Is that working?
Yeah, there you are.
Oh, okay. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
All right. So are we waiting for Elizabeth, or is it just you tonight?
As far as I know, we're waiting for Elizabeth. I haven't actually talked about this specific thing with her today. Let me text her. I'll text her real quick and see if she's coming.
Okay, no problem.
To the interview. Right. I mean, she probably is. We can certainly start without her. Oh, she's online. Wait a minute. Typing. What? Oh, okay. The interview that is happening right now. Okay, well, I see. Okay, she left me a voice text, so I'm going to listen to the voice text.
Okay.
But I don't know if this isn't live, is it?
No.
Oh, okay. Let me just listen to this. She might freak out.
Literally right now. What the fuck? Okay, I'm confused. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. It's in the email. I think. Did we? Was she? Maybe she wasn't CC'd on that email.
Is
that possible?
It's possible.
Let's see. Oh, it was just to me. Okay, hold on a second. Let me just forward it to her.
Okay.
That's why she doesn't know. I mean, I did put it in the calendar, so we're both somewhat covered.
Okay, good. As long as I'm covered, I'm okay.
You're definitely covered. But hold on, let me just tell her. Let's just start without her. She'll join when she can. I just forward her the email. She's pretty quick with stuff like this. So.
No worries, man. No worries. This is a very loose podcast. So, Well, what I do is it's somewhat chronological, but not necessarily.
Okay.
Doesn't have to go that way. Hey, Elizabeth, how are you doing?
Hi, sorry I'm late.
Oh.
I'm great. How are you?
Good. We haven't even gotten started yet.
Jake's wearing a hat, apparently.
You've already fucked it up. It doesn't matter. We're not on video.
Right.
We're not on video. But
I think it's
my
still
hair's
matters.
all messed up, so I'm going to keep the hat on.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got no problem with hats.
Right. Good.
Now I feel left out. All right. So I was telling Jake, it's real loose podcast. There's no set formula on how we do it. I usually end up going chronologically, finding out how you got into music in the first place and work our way to new releases. Since there's two of you, it's a little different. You'll both be pretty much at the beginning answering the same kind of questions about your musical histories, but we'll eventually work our way to how you met, and then things will get a little easier at that point. But I don't even know how to begin this episode because I just stumbled across you guys on Instagram. You showed up on a reel or something, or a short. I don't know what social media site has what thing now. I don't know which what they're called.
They do. I think they call it Reels on Instagram.
I saw River of Intestines.
That was fun. That was the first one you saw?
Yeah, and I saw that. I shared it with a shit ton of my friends, and then instantly reached out to you guys to see if you wanted to do the podcast. And I hadn't heard anything else.
I don't want to drown in a river of my own intestines. I don't want to drown in an ocean of my own shit.
So,
Perfect.
so, but I have since gone back and listened to almost everything. So,
okay, wow.
So I've been trying really hard to get caught up on you guys because the music is amazing. But before
you're saying you reached out to us on the strength of River of Intestines alone.
Correct.
That's pretty wild. That's pretty wild. I just never would have imagined that song when I wrote it, making people want to talk to me on purpose or either one of us.
That's the kind of stuff that I love. I don't know, it's short and to the point for sure. And the way you guys deliver the song, there's so much humor without being, it sounds like there's obvious humor in it, but the way you guys deliver it, it doesn't look like there's humor involved. It looks like you guys are taking this totally seriously. And, in one aspect you are, but in another aspect, it's still humor and comedy, and it's beautiful. That's the kind of stuff that I love.
I remember when we shot that. I know you don't want to talk about River of Intestines yet. I'm going out of order.
No, that's fine.
I do remember, sort of on that topic about not having humor about it. We were really, really hungover when we shot that, and I remember, like, Elizabeth, she had been like really unhappy the shoot up to that point, like really, really unhappy.
Was it the same day that we shot that I was the housewife, like the really disheveled housewife? So it really worked that I was hungover. Was that a different shoot?
I don't know. The disheveled housewife. Oh, no. It was well before that. But anyway,
this is a different hangover.
No one knows what we're talking about. But we were really hungover when we shot River of Intestines, and Elizabeth especially, and she was really, really sort of almost mad up until that point. And I remember after like she did one sort of time through lip syncing that song, she actually started to laugh, and that was a great moment because it was like I knew that everything was going to lighten up from there.
Oh, well, it's just I don't know that the whole album it just blows me away. But before we get too deep into that, I want to find out how you guys got into music in the first place. And so, Jake, we'll start off with you. I mean, and I know you've done composing, you've done music for, if you're the right Jake Zavracky, for the Sopranos, NCIS, Late Night with Jimmy Fallon. How did you get into music in the first place? I mean, it sounds like composition was a big influence on you, but was that what got you into music?
Well, no. The first thing that I wanted to do, So I wanted to be an actor. This is going way back. I mean, this is going back into preteen times. But I wanted to be an actor, and then that all very abruptly switched when I got really into Van Halen. I got really into Eddie Van Halen, and then I wanted to be a guitar player. But then after, let's see, I really practiced guitar a lot, and that has a lot to do with why I got into songwriting. But all along I wrote songs, but I got much more serious, I think, in sort of my later teens about writing songs. And that's where I decided, like, that's what I really wanted to do, was to be a songwriter.
Okay.
And a singer to a lesser extent, but definitely a songwriter.
We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. Before you skip over this ad, give me 1 minute. Like most podcasts, I pick sponsors carefully, and I use the products that advertise here. Pure Spectrum CBD is a product that has been really beneficial for me. They have a wide variety of great products that can be used on a daily or as needed basis. I've been using the tincture every day, and it's been wonderful for easing anxiety. And I absolutely love the isolate. I use it instead of acetaminophen or ibuprofen, and it's worked so well for the relief of aches and pains. They also have soaks, lotions, salves, gummies, and more, plus an entire line for fitness recovery. They even have products for your pets. See everything they offer at purespectrumcbd.com. And if you have questions, they're there to help. They helped me when I had no idea where to start. After you fill your cart, use code PerformanceANX for 15% off your purchase. Pure Spectrum CBD, Pure Spectrum CBD, Pure Spectrum CBD. So was guitar the first thing you learned, or was there another instrument that you ended up starting with before guitar?
It was the first instrument that I learned how to play with any, yes, it was the first instrument. I mean, I knew how to kind of play piano. I knew how to kind of play the alto sax, which I couldn't. I can still kind of play piano now. I don't think I could play one note on a saxophone. So I don't know. I kind of wish I could, because I think it's a great instrument. But anyway, I did know the sax a little bit before guitar.
At what point did you decide this was going to be a professional endeavor for you? And
God, I mean, I started fantasizing about it when I was like 12 or something. I mean, by the time I was 13, I was absolutely convinced that I was going to be a star of some kind. I don't even know what that meant to me I couldn't even guess what I would have meant by that at that time. Like what a star meant to me, how it would look in the real world,
right.
Other than like, I'm going to be a star. It doesn't really have to be defined. And that's all. So I'm just going to be a star, and, fuck you, mom and dad. I'm going to be a star. I'm out of here.
Just your general star.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So how did you get into composition and creating music for Sopranos and Jimmy Fallon and all that?
Okay, so to clarify, the stuff, the NCIS and the Sopranos and all that stuff, that's just pop music that they wanted to use, in the background of whatever scene.
Okay.
So it's not real. Like when you say composition, it almost makes it sound like it's a score or something. That's not true. I would love to have scored the Sopranos, but that was not what actually happened. It was just a pop song that I had, or it was a rock song, actually. It's a better way of putting it for that particular stuff. And that's my beer. And then for the Fallon thing, I had been working, I'll try to make this interesting and short. I had been working for a network I think it was called the Gameplay Network, and I was doing like most of the music for that network. Okay. Which sounds like a big, huge deal, a lot of stuff to do, but it wasn't really. And there were three main sort of producer/content creators at the Gameplay Network. But there's probably more than three, but there were three that I was working with. And one of them went on to become Jimmy Fallon's, like one of his big shot, I don't know what to call him. I'll just say content creator again, because it's such a good term, catch-all term.
Right, yeah.
And he wanted me to score this particular segment. They already had a guy, but the guy who I think had worked for Saturday Night Live, and now he was working for Jimmy Fallon, and he had some kind of problem with his hearing. And so they needed someone to just jump in and do and score this bit that they were doing that was like a Breaking Bad parody.
Oh, okay.
So I came in and did that, and I had a great time, and that's the Jimmy Fallon thing. So I've done a lot of work for TV over the years, mostly to spec. Like I'll have like some a music buyer call me and say, we need something that sounds like fucking Green Day or something. Usually music that I don't want to make at all.
Yeah.
Nothing against Green Day.
Yeah,
but
I don't
usually
like
something I'm not really that artistically excited to make a song that sounds like fucking Blink 182 or something. Nothing against them. They're very good. That's not what I want to do. But so I've done I have troves of music that is just me imitating something for television, and so there's a lot of that. And that sort of led to getting my own music on TV. And then, I guess that, and that, all of that kind of stopped maybe 7-8 years ago. I don't really do that stuff anymore.
Okay. During all this, were you in your own bands creating your own music?
Yeah. And a lot of the stuff that was used on TV is, well, the better stuff is stuff that I made without TV in mind. Because when someone asks you to make something that sounds like Green Day and you don't really want to make it, but you do it because you need the money, obviously the product of that is not going to be as good as the stuff that you really poured your whole heart and soul into. So everything that's on Sopranos and JAG and NCIS and stuff, that's all stuff that I really, really poured my heart and soul into. And then, so that's how the TV thing happened.
Okay. All right. So Elizabeth, how about you? How did you get started in music? Did you start off singing, or was there an instrument involved? What got you going?
I did. I started singing. I grew up religious, so I grew up Mormon. Okay. Which is a whole other level of lore, I think, to our story and kind of what we're all about.
For sure.
Our little sort of Exmo sub-genre happening. But so I grew up in choirs, and I always really loved singing. And I particularly really liked singing with other people. I definitely had the star feeling that, I wanted to be kind of on stage, but I don't know that I ever necessarily wanted to be the center of it all kind of thing. So I loved choir, and I've always loved harmonies and stuff. So started off with that, went to jazz school because I didn't know what else to do, hated it. Played a little clarinet, no saxophone, never got that far, but... Yeah, I've just always.
Why is saxophone further than clarinet?
Because, for me, I don't know about you, how the hierarchy went when you picked up the sax, but in my junior high band, you had to play clarinet first before you could graduate.
Oh, there was an order. That's really bizarre. Yeah. No, that was not the case. You just got to pick whatever instrument.
I think so in Canada, junior high generally is grade 7, 8, 9. And I think in grade 7, you weren't allowed to touch a saxophone in grade 7. You were on because it's kind of, you play the recorder in elementary school.
Oh, really?
Wow.
And then you play the sax.
Man.
Right. I guess that sort of actually makes sense to some extent, because I think that you would need to push out a lot more air, so you might need bigger lungs or something. Maybe that was the thinking, because the clarinet doesn't require quite as much.
Maybe it's level of expensiveness, here's this.
No, I don't think a clarinet is clarinets are expensive.
Yeah.
I think.
I'm sure my aunt stole my clarinet she was a substitute teacher. And I think that the origin story behind my clarinet is that my aunt stole it, gave it to my sister to learn on, and then my sister passed it down to me, and it said CBE spray painted on the side, Calgary Board of Education. Yeah. And I remember before I started school, I had to paint over it so that I wouldn't get found out for this stolen clarinet.
Oh my God.
Oh wow! So she had stolen a clarinet.
Which, I think it's okay. I think I can say that. I mean, I didn't say which aunt. I think it's probably pretty obvious. It's not the successful one.
Right. It's not the successful one. Well, now you really said it. It's the loser aunt.
It's that we love her, But everybody's got an aunt or uncle that would have stolen the clarinet and passed it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the statute of limitations is probably up too at this point.
Yeah.
So at what point did you decide to pursue music? Like, and I think you're also you're a creative in other areas as well, right? You have a whole other career that you.
I do, yeah. I work in beverage marketing. So I was a bartender for, really like 12 years, 10 of which in New York. And that's how Jake and I met. We were bartending at a dive bar in Gowanus. And then, kind of just COVID times, like I'm not really bartending right now. Kind of what's next. There's kind of like a joke in bartending that like you kind of get your undergrad and then eventually it's like, okay, I'm either going to be a brand ambassador, I'm going to open my own spot, or I'm going to get my real estate license. Like it's pretty much that's what you do after your body starts breaking down from bartending.
Wow. And
I just happen to kind of land in like the brand space. So I work with brands. I do a lot of like cocktail photo shoots, styling and stuff like that. I work on a lot of strategy. Oh, nice. But yeah, I have a full ass 9 to 5. So music has always been there, but I think moved to New York and just had to make money. So you just get sucked into nightlife.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of just like, it's always been sort of that constant battle of like, working in nightlife, but wanting to gig, wanting to make music. So yeah, eventually we landed here, but it's been a long road. We've been doing this for almost a decade.
Yeah. So how did you two start creating music together? You said you worked at the same bar, but how did the topic of a band come up?
Her ex-husband, is that the right term?
Well, technically still a husband, but,
said to me, or this person who is involved in her life in some way, and mine, his name's Chaim.
I didn't know you credited him with this.
Well, there's only one person to credit.
I thought it was like, so I think you're about to say that Chaim was like, you guys should make music together.
Yes.
See, I think when I started working at Lowlands, all the other bartenders and regulars were like, oh, have you met Jake? Yeah, you got to meet Jake. Like, he's a musician. You're a musician. You guys are going to love each other. And it's kind of that thing where you're like, okay, like, great. I'm sure he's a musician.
Yeah.
Sure that whatever. And so eventually we did just start chatting about it. And he was like, to your point on like the amount of backlog material that Jake has produced over the years, he was kind of just like, hey, I've got a bunch of stuff sitting around. Why don't you take a listen and see if anything tickles your fancy? And we can just like demo a couple things, really just to see if there was anything there.
Right.
And it's had a lot of iterations since.
Well, that's a good way of putting it. I guess I won't tell the story about Chaim. It's not a very good story anyway. So you just kind of cut ahead there. Speaking of jump cuts, you jump cut ahead. That's fine. That gets it done. That gets the job done.
So I went back and I started to listen to. I listened to We Are Dream Eaters, and then I went back and I'm like, all right, I'm going to start from the beginning and work my way chronologically, I guess. But I want to know, before I get into the music, how did you guys come up with the name, the Dream Eaters? I love it.
Well, that's Elizabeth's. That goes to Elizabeth.
I was going to give it to you because I think, again, we have different memories of how it started. I think that we were just talking, like sitting at the bar. In my mind, we're sitting.
I wasn't there.
What?
You came up with this without me. You just said it to me like the next day. I think it was you and Julian.
Oh,
you're the worst storyteller. Are we the worst storytellers? We are failing this podcast interview.
This is the best.
Every story is like, it just doesn't even start because we're just arguing about how it starts.
I love it.
Probably worth mentioning that we were drinking a shit ton then, and we both now, as a result, drink significantly.
No. You came, and Julian and like someone else came up with that name without me there. I wasn't there. You told me about it the next day. I didn't even want to use it. Remember? I didn't want to use it. We were going by Mark. We were going by Jake and Elizabeth, which is so lame.
Thank you.
But I just thought it worked with.
First, we were going by Jake and Elizabeth and the and.
Right. Well, that wasn't at first because whatever. That was a little bit later because we had a backing band and we needed to call the backing band something.
Okay.
So at first it was just Jake and Elizabeth. And it's so lame, but I really liked what that projected because I was like, oh, Jake and Elizabeth, like Sonny and Cher, like it's kind of fun. Like you just know us right off the bat. You know who we are. You know what our names are. And then they had the idea for the Dream Eaters, which at first I was like, no, I like, let's stick with Jake and Elizabeth. And I think I don't know, within the same day, I was like, no, that's a really good name. We should use that name instead. Yeah. So that's how that happened.
Well, like I said, I went back and it's funny because you mentioned Jake and Elizabeth. It kind of tells, hey, this is us. The early stuff is so different from the later stuff. It's just unbelievable. So I went back and I was listening to the live 2016 album and the Rush of Love. And there's some things in there. And honestly, I'm not exactly 100% sure on timelines here. Those sound kind of, I almost hesitate to say folky because it's not acoustic folky, but it's the songs are a little more, there's less humor in them. There's some creeps through, but that's not obviously not the focus. Song, let me see, what was I, and my notes are all scattershot because I was just losing my mind listening to this stuff. Like Clonopin Girl, kind of sad actually,
Yeah.
Clonopin girl, freaked out again. You've got too much stress. Your doctors all said, swallow this pill and take it away. 13 years old, hiding indoors, lost in a cloud on the living room floor, scared of the boys and girls at your school.
And then I went on and I listened to the next album, and all of a sudden, it was the EP, Give Me the Stars single came out, right. And then Too Much Sugar, and you guys just went all My Bloody Valentine / medicine kind of thing, and I'm like, where the fuck did this come from? It was incredible because I'm a huge shoegaze fan. I love My Bloody Valentine. But, listening to the Gowanus EP and all that, I just feel like I almost got blindsided by that. I mean, like, what the hell's going on in puking up rainbows? What the hell happened?
I don't even remember. I got to tell you, I don't even remember which one that is. I don't know. We wrote so many songs back then that I don't even know which one you're talking about. I know the title, right, but I don't know how that one goes. Definitely doesn't know.
Yes, no. It's like hear it. It's like da 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 da.
Oh, is it it's the arpeggiated one? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, there's so much noise like going on in there.
Yeah.
We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. So the question. Okay, so I got so many questions. We Are a Curse.
Yeah.
Is that like a compilation of work, like a grouping of, because it's got stuff from all different albums, or is it because I see that and then the 2015 to 2020 album, and they both seem to be like compilations, unless, like I said, I am not super familiar with it. I haven't listened to everything over and over and over again, so I can't tell immediately if something is re-recorded or not, maybe. But I was just curious what We Are a Curse and the 2015 to 2020 album, what makes them different albums?
Well, We Are a Curse is not a compilation album. That's an honest to goodness album, but you're right. It does have some older songs on it that we re-recorded. Okay. So I guess at that point I was just thinking like, okay, everything that we've done up to now. So that was March or April or so that album came out of 2017. And I think I was thinking, well, nobody knows these other things that we've put out, especially at that point. I don't even think they were on Spotify. They weren't on like streaming. They were just on Bandcamp. Okay. So I was like, nobody knows these things anyway. So let's not, we won't even worry about it. We'll just take some good stuff from those and re-record some of those songs. But also there's a lot of new songs that we hadn't re-recorded yet on We Are a Curse. And so that was our first debut album. And if you didn't know us personally, you probably didn't know anything that we had done before that. Like only our friends knew it, and then maybe some scattered people around the internet or whatever. Okay. So that's what We Are a Curse is. 2015 to 2020 is sort of a greatest hits / or greatest hits, obviously not actual hits, but you know what I mean? Like the sort of the best of up to that point. And then also some scattered stuff that hadn't been released yet, that we was just kind of sitting around, didn't really belong on anything. Yeah. Like Disco Ball, the very first song on that album.
Meet me on the hill, bring a couple pills, we'll drink them down, hiding from the light, we will come to life in the witching hour. Spill the wine, take a sip, taste the sugar on my lips underneath the disco ball.
It didn't really seem to belong on any album that we had forthcoming. It didn't seem to belong on anything. So we just threw a bunch of stuff like that on an album to kind of sum everything up to that point. So sum everything up to 2020. That's what the point of that album was.
Okay. So, and I'm assuming the Five Little Pills EP is kind of in the similar vein, but I just wanted to tell you how much I absolutely love Heidi and the Heavy Horses.
Oh, thanks.
That song, it's so, it kind of hits me like Simon and Garfunkel's For Emily Whenever I May Find Her.
Yeah, I love that song.
That's what it reminds me of. I get the same feeling listening to Heidi and the Heavy Horses as I do when I listen to that song, and it's a good feeling. It's kind of like it makes me happy to feel shitty.
Outside in the carnations, calls her friend to bring her medication. She rides a wave pulled by heavy horses and crashes.
Okay, well,
I remember because Jake wrote all those songs, and I remember being so scared of that one because I wasn't really like comfortable with my voice yet in this project. Like I was still really finding it. I didn't really know what we were going for. Wasn't like really necessarily written for my voice. And I remember just being like so hesitant to like reach those notes. It's just funny now because it just feels, I mean, we don't really sing that song anymore, but like Klonopin Girl, for example, like just feels so comfortable now.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Heidi is a hard song to sing. That's a very hard song to sing. The melody is all over the place, and it requires a vocal range, and it's not easy. It's definitely not easy.
Oh, baby.
Yeah. You were so young back then, too.
Yes, I think I was like...
Not like now.
Not like now. It's all over. Look at this box.
It's all downhill.
Yeah. It's funny, actually. I was going to say, Mark, real quick. My name is Jacob, obviously, my mom loved the name Jacob. She also loved the name Emily because of that. I would have been named Emily if I was a girl because of wherever I may find her. So just wanted to point that out.
Oh, that's wild.
We're a big Simon and Garfunkel family.
Oh, so is my family. Which is, I've had that song. I've heard that song ever since I can remember. The whole Greatest Hits album was, my family was a big Greatest Hits kind of fan. They didn't do a whole lot of deep diving until I came along.
Right.
So.
Right.
But it seems to me there's the point here when you guys hit disposable music, if I can get it out of my mouth. Disposable music is kind of where I think it sounds like you guys turned a corner and really leaned into the humorous aspect of things. Is that actually what happened, or am I making that up in my mind?
Well, okay, so disposable music is another compilation of. Okay. I mean, most of our albums are compilations, really. So that's going to be the answer. That's going to be a recurring theme in this interview.
Okay.
But disposable music. So that was a collection of songs that we wrote when we started doing. I will refer to our content as the show because originally it was supposed to be a show. So if I keep saying the show, that's what I mean by the show.
Okay.
So all of those songs were songs from the show. All right. So we started around 2020. Right around the pandemic, which was just sort of a coincidence. Like we had already had this project in mind for I had already started working it over the course of 2019. I'd started working on ideas for what the Dream Eaters have sort of become since 2020. And that's what disposable music is. It's like the first few years of those songs that that were just that became content, basically. Okay. And it became the show. Oh, yeah. So that's what disposable music is. So it is, obviously it's quite different than what we had done before that, but that's because it was, it was the humorous element comes in because I wanted to make, we wanted to make a show that was a sort of a modern day variety show, like a modern day version of Donnie and Marie or Sonny and Cher. But it would just be really weird videos kind of all cut together, and then we would host it. We never did this.
Okay.
We still haven't done it. We're working on it now. But all it ended up being was the weird sort of very random videos intersecting with each other over like the course of 7 or 8 minutes. And all of those separate videos became what people kind of know us as now, which is just like one short song. But the original idea was they were all supposed to intersect and cut into each other randomly, and it was going to be a whole 7 or 8 minute show. Oh, and we have done a few more of those since then. But anyway, that's what disposable music is. So it's all those songs from the beginning. Yeah. So hey, where are you? Where are you broadcasting from?
I live in Winchester, Virginia.
So Virginia. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So I'm about 75 miles due west of DC.
Nice.
Okay.
So we were talking a little bit about disposable music. I did want to tell you guys, I don't even know if there's a question in this. Pagan Love, the song, first of all, is incredible. That song, if it was 99 or 2000, that'd be all over the radio.
Thank you.
That song is awesome.
Stay with me and end the day with me. Comfort me as I decay. Show me all your wicked ways. How you empower me, how you devour me. Shower me in waves of love. Celebrate this pagan love. Celebrate this pagan love.
It's not even my favorite on the album. My favorite is Mockingbird. Holy shit, that's an incredible song.
Yeah, I like that song.
That's one of the best songs I have heard in a long time. It is just killer.
Who's gonna show you around town? Little honey bee. Perhaps you need a mockingbird like me. Perhaps you need a mockingbird.
love the humorous stuff that you guys are doing, and that's what drew me into you guys. But to find out you guys have songs like Mockingbird and Pagan Love, it blew me away, which is what I was trying to get across early on, but I don't think I did it very well.
Well, thanks. That's a real showpiece for Elizabeth's voice, and I like that song. It's not a song that I really think about very often because it's rare that we have to revisit that material right now. But I do. We both love that album. I think that's both.
Yeah,
I think that's both of our favorite album of ours. And then you mentioned Five Little Pills earlier. I think that's probably our favorite EP of ours. So it's not. We don't really necessarily have any strong preference for the new stuff ourselves. So we love that all.
I think that's the first time anybody said that.
It's going to be interesting as we start to plan on playing live again, figuring out how we're going to kind of present it all. Like we're mostly playing, the bangers or the singles, but it's going to be really fun to see that develop. And I think that's what my favorite thing about us in general is just this permission to constantly be changing, and we're both just so open to kind of evolving and reinventing ourselves over and over.
Yeah.
I don't know. I love just how hard you guys have leaned into the humor.
Yeah.
One of the things that got me today, I wasn't expecting. I was at my job working, and I just put the music on, and it was just playing the song that just I had to stop for a second, and it was good because the song is only a little bit longer than I had to stop for. Is Reuniti on Ice, because I remember those commercials as a kid, and I don't remember the devil voice and the motherfucker part.
Reuniti on ice, motherfucker. Reuniti on ice. 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 Reuniti on ice, motherfucker. Reuniti on ice.
But they should have incorporated those because they may have a bigger standing in the wine community if they actually used your song. But
I work in marketing. Like, let's go.
Telling you. That could be.
Obviously, that's like I don't even that's very old. That idea I came up with that like 15 years ago or something. It's just a funny thing to say about such a silly wine. But it's practically a wine cooler Reuniti.
Yeah.
So it's saying motherfucker at the end is just I don't know, just. Well, so counter to what you would expect to hear after Reuniti,
Exactly.
Like I can just picture all these like tough guys like dancing around drinking Reuniti,
At a biker bar.
Yeah.
You had to explain it to me, to be fair. Like I did not get the reference. Like Jake had to send me the YouTube videos of the ads. I was like, okay, I get it.
Yeah. Yeah, Elizabeth is Canadian and very young, so she doesn't understand what I'm talking about half the time.
I'm American and old, so I remember watching the Reuniti commercials coming on. Between I don't know whatever the hell shows we were watching, Silver Spoons and Small Wonder, or whatever. So in between all these family shows, it's Reuniti on Ice is nice. How do the songs get written? Jake, are you coming up with the songs, or Elizabeth, are you contributing to the songs, or how does the whole process work with you guys?
Well, Elizabeth occasionally. Elizabeth is more of a curator. That's pretty much her role, is to sort of keep me on course, and she will occasionally come up with a line. Not really much, but it's her. Her presence is very important in ways that you can't really be written down, that don't really mean anything on paper.
Okay.
I don't know if that's the best way to say that, but that's all I can come up with right now. So I write, most of the songs, or not most of the songs. I write all the songs, and she will occasionally have an idea. And she kind of also, I mean, she's very, very important in that I'm kind of rudderless without her input. You know, I don't really know what to do. And especially if I find myself lost, she can kind of get me out of the woods.
Okay.
So that's I feel like that's her role. Would you say that's accurate, Elizabeth?
Yeah, I'd say that's accurate. Yeah, I'm trying to think of like how else you can kind of articulate it. But yeah, it's some sort of like a director or sort of like, you know, I'm your sidekick.
A director or a sidekick, yeah.
No, like you're the whole thing. You're like the top. And then I'm kind of like execution and kind of like strategy and sort of overall.
Right. Well, go ahead, Mark. Sorry.
Oh no, I wanted to ask a little bit about going to the next step on that question. How is the performance figured out? And maybe that's what you were talking about with Elizabeth, because songs like Atomic Queen and Patent Leather Pants, the lyrics are they're hilarious, but the way Elizabeth sings them makes it even better because it's almost emotionless. but purposefully.
Well, okay. Atomic Queen is supposed to be robotic, like like an android singing.
The lines in the code of my chemistry are telling me I'm drawn to you anatomically. You know what I know, you're inside of me. You're part of my biology, my atomic queen. You float in my blood through the arteries.
Patent Leather Pants, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't call that emotionless personally, but I think that we're singing about Patent Leather Pants, how much emotion can be put into that, I guess.
Well, just like the line, do you notice how my features are enhanced? It's like it was written with a thesaurus and like the elements of style by Strunken White. You know, it was, it's
I
like,
love that book.
It's an awkward phrasing and it's amazing. It works perfectly.
But we know how to shake it. Yeah, we know how to shake it. And I patent leather pants. We can dance, we can dance, we can dance. Do you notice how my features are enhanced? I can dance, I can dance, I can dance, dance for you. No, we don't have the perfect bodies.
I love it so much, and that happens in a bunch of the songs, and that's one of the things I love it. Maybe that's it. Maybe there's an awkwardness that's purposefully done, but sounds I can't even really put it into words myself.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the rule is
Jake has a large vocabulary. Like even in just day-to-day conversation, I'll be like, "What the fuck is that word? I've never heard anybody use that word." Anodyne.
My favorite thing is that right now we're talking about patent leather pants, and you are using that as an example to talk about my large vocabulary. You know, I don't think it's on display in patent leather pants, but sometimes I pull a 10-cent word out. I'd say that. Well, you mentioned the humor. Well, maybe I'm getting ahead of you. Go ahead. And maybe you have another. Question or something.
I've got a lot of questions.
Okay, go ahead. You guide us. But you lead us through.
But we can, throw out any of the ideas or any of the information you'd like. Was there a specific reason? Was it before the show not before the show? That was just me stuttering. Was it for the show that you guys kind of changed from the sound you're going to synth pop sounds? Was that specifically for the show idea?
I don't know whether that evolution would have happened had we not done the show, but it all sort of, everything kind of coalesced around the show. So like the reason that we are where we are is because we were going to add a visual element to it. And that visual element required, or didn't necessarily require, but for some reason seemed like it could use humor. So the reason that things got funnier and poppier and brighter, as opposed to something like really dark like Mockingbird, it's hard to make a video for something like Mockingbird that people are going to want to sit down and watch. You know, I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying people people want to escape, and they want to, they want some brightness and they want some color. But of course, we intercut that with darkness also. And all of the music that we make, all of these things are part of the ingredients. The humor, the dark humor, the light humor, the poppiness. It's all part of a recipe.
Yeah.
And I don't know when we came up with the idea that the dish needed to be what it was, what the soup needed to be what it was. Okay. But at some point it made sense for all those ingredients to be what they were. And that's why there was sort of a paradigm shift once we started doing the show, which was, like I say, it all happened around 2020. It was like Dream Eaters 2.0 in 2020.
Right. So who is dancing in all these videos, like Bloody Ass? And is that like the guy from Frankie Goes to Hollywood? He just dances? That's his whole thing? Is that like another homage to the 80s?
Well, Steve, that's Steve.
Okay.
Steve Fugit is his name. Fugit, F-U-G-I-T-T. He is a great friend of ours. And I don't think... What's that?
Sorry, my ringer just went off. Might be...
I don't think that at any point I know that I wanted Steve to be involved in some way with the show, but I don't think that I ever imagined that he would be as involved as he is now, because you see all the sort of public facing things are him dancing,
right?
But he's very important to the show in a lot of other ways. Like he helps bring the ideas together. He's there at every shoot. He shoots, he sort of co-directs. And so Steve's a very important character for us. And he's a very, very talented guy in his own right. Even outside of Dream Eaters, he's a good DJ. He's a good musician. And that's Steve. He's one of the greatest guys in the world. You can tell how great he is from just watching him dance. I've never seen anyone dance quite like him before. Oh. He's so good at interpreting things. Every shoot, like when you see him, and obviously all the sound from the shoot is cut out at that point because you're just seeing him sort of dance along to the recorded track. But, if you can hear the shoot, it's just Elizabeth and I, in hysterics the entire time because he's just such a funny dancer. And he's just a really great guy to be around. He's one of the best friends. He's really such a great, solid, great dude. He doesn't have a bad word to say about anybody. Everybody loves him. He's just one of those people that, like, as soon as you meet Steve, you are just in love with him. Everybody loves him immediately,
I think he missed his calling in interpretive dance because he really did get the emotion of Bloody Ass through in his dance.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. He's very good with that.
The new album has come out, but before it came out, according to the timeline on Bandcamp, you put it out as a ringtone album.
Well, that's a little misleading. Okay. I agree with you that is the chronology of it. There's no, obviously, that's what it is. But the ringtone album, first of all, the ringtone album has really taken off for us in a very surprising way. Like, we've sold much more of the ringtone album than anything else.
Really?
And people will, because we always do pay what you want with Bandcamp, so you can take it for free if you want to.
Right.
But a lot of people will also, because they're supporting the arts, you as an artist, they will give you like $20 for an album that lasts 1 minute or something. Wow. I don't even know what the total runtime is, but I think it's like a minute. And
yeah, it's like, because everything's like 5 seconds.
Right. Exactly. So we wanted to do an album for charity, and I certainly wasn't thinking it was going to do so well, but that's why we made the ringtone album. And I would have definitely timed that out differently. I would have saved it for after our full-length album, We Are the Dream Eaters, came out. But anyway, it's just a coincidence that I just happened to have that idea the week before that album was due to be released. And I didn't think it was going to be a big deal. I really just thought it was going to be something that would come and go and no one would really buy it. And it would, we'd raise like $50 for charity. I think we've raised like 1,000 now.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it's great.
It's awesome.
It's great. It's unbelievable. It's really unexpected. I kind of made a deal with myself that I would, the Dream Eaters would raise a lot of money for charity this year. And I kind of exceeded that right off the bat, just because that's what it ended up taking off without me ever expecting that to happen. I wish I could say I planned that, but I'm not a good enough marketing person to know that something like that would take off. So
on the new album, your songs are either like 3 minutes or 40 seconds. Is one easier to write than the other, or do they just both present their own issues?
Oh no, it's without question, it's much easier to write the short ones. I mean, there's much less to worry about. But it's definitely much easier to write the short ones. I mean, there's just much less to do, And also, generally, I anything that I think is really great, I will write the whole song around it. So there's kind of a distance that I have with the shorter ones, where it's like, I love them, but I also don't want them to be any longer than they are, and so therefore, it's like, I kind of accept those as they are, whereas like longer songs, I get really obsessed with them because I'm like, oh, I got to make this into something absolutely astonishing, whereas the shorter ones, I'm kind of like, it is what it is. Like, I don't have to spend, 3 days working on Bloody Ass. Right. You know what I mean? It sounds fine like it is,
Because I got a bloody ass. I'm bleeding generously. Because I got a bloody ass. Bloody ass. Oh.
If I worked, it's comedy too. When you're dealing with comedy, from my perspective, from my experience, you don't want to spend too long on it, because you're gonna lose your way, and you're gonna probably take away things that are funny about it.
Right.
And those things happen with instruments too. It happens with instruments and arrangements also. Like, instruments and arrangements can also be intrinsically funny. So I try not to overwork the funny short stuff.
Man,
So it's much easier to make the short stuff than it is to make the long stuff, to answer your question.
Yeah, we should write a short song.
Yeah. Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. I forgot about this. Okay. Yeah. Right.
All right. So I had something at work today, and I was giving away those eyeglass wipes. And I don't know what, somebody must have hadn't gotten much sleep. So I kind of said, you need these so you can clean up your butthole eyes. Because because their eyes were
pretty good.
Their eyes were dark and your eyes just look like buttholes.
Yeah.
I don't know. So is there a possibility of a song about getting enough rest so you don't get butthole eyes?
Yes, that's a very good idea. That's how the ideas come up. I will say something like that, usually in my own head. Right. I will say something like that.
Not to somebody.
And go like, oh, that's a good song. But I have said it out loud too. Just like exactly the situation you described has happened dozens of times.
Oh man.
So yeah.
All right.
So where I would. Why don't I just explain to you what I would do instead of us trying to actually write the song right now? If you're up for this. I'll just explain the process.
I would love that.
So I would take that Butthole Eyes, right? And I would maybe go for a walk and start trying to think of like, what does that conjure for a melody? Like, and I don't even know if I would say that out, say that to myself in those words. It's just like, I'm walking, I'm thinking I'm thinking Butthole Eyes, and I'm just walking on a path, and I'm trying to get to, what that sounds like, So I will try to sit there and write a melody, and I will record it into my phone, So I'll just be like, oh, Butthole Eyes, whatever it sounds like. Butthole Eyes. I mean, like a very common go-to technique would be to just go, because anything that kind of goes from the 4 to the 3 like that, just it kind of where it sounds kind of important. Like if you listen to a lot of our songs, a lot of them do like
yes,
like and that's how the chorus comes in, because it just sounds like we're having a great time and Butthole Eyes, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I would maybe start with that and then try to change it so that it's not like every other single one of the things that we've done.
Right.
So that actually really lends itself to that particular melody, actually. The butthole eyes, so maybe I would go butthole eyes, I would just change one part of it so that it wasn't exactly the same as everything else.
Right.
And then I would try to structure the chords around that so that, well, obviously so that it made sense. I would, for something like a song called Butthole Eyes, right off the bat, I'm thinking upbeat. I wouldn't, I don't know why.
Obviously.
I don't even know why.
It's not anus eyes. Anus eyes would be different.
Asshole eyes would be different too.
Asshole eyes would be different too. But butthole, like that's playful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you'd said anus eyes, like for some reason to me that conjures like something like a metal song. So I might be thinking more metal with anus eyes. Butthole eyes, for some reason to me, that's more poppy, that's brighter. I'd probably try to keep it pretty upbeat. And it would be very synthy and upbeat and probably pretty 80s sounding. That's what Butthole Eyes conjures to me. And that's what, honestly, 75% of the time, that's where we end up anyway. And then I would send it to Elizabeth and see if it made her laugh. And if it made her laugh, it's a go. We'll see what happens from there. Usually, obviously, we make the song. It's 20 to 30 seconds long. For me, the best case scenario is to try to keep it as short as possible. To start off with, because the faster you can get the idea out, the better, because, people aren't going to watch for that long. And I try not to be ruled by that, but I try to think of myself as the end user also. So like, how long am I going to watch a video that's taking a long time to get to the point, and the point at the end of the rainbow is Butthole Eyes?
Right.
Probably not very long, so, and then I would, I would arrange it, send it to Elizabeth. Elizabeth would either come here and sing it, or we'd sing it in Brooklyn together, or she could just do it at her studio in her apartment.
Okay. And
send me the files. And then we'd just decide what to do for the video. I'm assuming, again, the video would just be bright and poppy, and it would have Steve dancing, and we'd be ready. We'd all be ready to go with Butthole Eyes.
That would be amazing. So, all right. So along those lines, if that's the case, how did Smell My Wife come about? What the hell is that?
Smell my wife. Baby, take a smell of my wife. Smell my wife. Baby, take a smell. Baby, take a smell of my wife.
So many of these songs I couldn't even tell you. I really don't know where I got that from. Sometimes I just say something in my head or whatever, and I if it makes me laugh, that's always a good sign. Like if I laugh out loud at something that I just thought in my head, it's possibly a good idea, And then if it makes Elizabeth laugh, it's sort of past the second stage of it, and then we just have to see if it comes out good, and it does. It often does. But certainly I have a lot of stuff. I have many hundreds and hundreds of tracks that didn't work.
Right.
Even that we recorded, even by the time it gets to Elizabeth, sometimes where she is putting her tracks on it, sometimes it still doesn't work. So there's certainly dozens, if not hundreds, of songs where she's put a vocal down on stuff and it hasn't worked in the end anyway. But I don't know where Smell My Wife came from, to answer your question.
A lot of the time now, too, we won't even hear them. Like Steve and I don't hear a lot of them until we're actually at the shoot. So sometimes, like on the loudspeaker as we're setting up, you're just playing us. You hit play, and like we're all just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, right. That's the. Sometimes I like to just surprise them with stuff, and that's always kind of fun and funny. But that's not my preferred way to do it. I prefer to get everything vetted properly before we do it. That's like, usually if I haven't played it for the other guys, that means that I am doing a lot of last second stuff. Like I'm working up until the 11th hour to get everything ready for the shoot.
Okay.
So,
well, the album is amazing. I know you've got your latest single just come out, "Oh Tanya," which is great.
Yeah.
Oh, Tanya, do we have to say goodbye? Oh, Tanya, oh, yesterday was so wet and dry. There's some little precious thing, moved just beyond our reach. Oh, Tanya, come back to me.
But there's so many good tracks on here. All right, Oh Tanya, Rotten Hell, so I'm gonna.
Well, Mark, let me just stop you for 1 second. Oh Tanya is not on We Are the Dream Eaters.
Oh, what am I?
That's a new song.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's not on anything.
All right. So we'll just kind of cut that part out. That's what editing's for. Again, one reason why I told you I don't do this shit live.
Yeah.
So all right. So the new single is out, Oh Tanya.
Yeah.
Which I've been listening to that too, which maybe that's why I got it thrown in with the album, because I've been listening to everything just kind of on a
right, yeah. I mean, it only came out. It was only like 2 months after the album came out that song came out, something like that. So it's understandable.
So is there a story behind Oh Tanya? Is it about like a specific Tanya or?
Well, I can tell you how I came up with Oh Tanya because I wrote it so recently, which was just that for some reason the name Tanya came into my head as a funny name to sing like in a operatic way like that. So, the sort of poppy operatic way that we ended up singing that song. And I was just in my living room going like, oh, Tanya! For some reason, it just seemed so absurd to me. And somehow I ended up, that was not supposed to be a whole song. That was just supposed to be like one of the really short videos. But I don't know. It just kept coming. So we used it.
I love it. I think it's great. It kind of falls in, in the style of Dream Eaters, because you've got some just amazing songs. Mood Pills. I am not going to spend one more second trying to figure out what you're talking about, which it took me almost longer to say that than the song is.
Yes, that's right.
I am not gonna spend one more second trying to figure out what you're talking about. What you're talking about. I am not gonna spend one more second trying to figure out what you're talking about. What you're talking about. What you're talking about. What you're talking about.
River of Intestines, again, that's still one of my favorites. Kevorkian, Rotten Hell, your full lengths make me laugh, and I enjoy them as much as the shorter ones. But one of the coolest things on the We Are the Dream Eaters is the remake of Atomic Queen. That guitar solo at the end is absolutely bonkers. I love it. It's amazing.
I should point out that is not me. That is John Brookhouse, our friend John Brookhouse, who plays in the Boston metal band Worshipper. I'll plug his band. He's got a great metal band, and they're called Worshipper. And he is a absolutely astonishingly great guitar player. I mean, he can do anything. Anytime you hear a sort of amazing guitar solo. I've played some guitar solos on Dream Eater stuff, but it's usually John.
Okay.
That's played the guitar. So that's all he does. Occasionally I'll ask him to play a guitar solo. That's the only guitar that he plays, but whenever he comes in, he just kills it.
So do you guys get a chance to play this stuff live very often?
Well, we haven't been playing. You want to take this, Elizabeth?
Go for it, Jakester.
No, I feel like you should answer something.
Fine.
My voice hurts.
Yeah, well, so we haven't played since, was it 22 or was it 21?
Yeah, it was, we did a festival up here called O Positive, and we did that in October of 22. We haven't played since.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, like I said, we're kind of figuring out how we're going to kind of translate everything that we've been doing online into a live show. So we're working on it. We, I think we'll be announcing a couple very, very soon. And yeah, we've started rehearsing, and it's just been so great. We're super pumped.
Are the shows going to be basically in your area, or are you going to be branching out a little further? Maybe, DC area?
We do love touring. We love and miss touring. I guess we'll just have to see how realistic it is. I mean, I think what it was is we did so much touring from 2016 to 2019 that we kind of got to the point where we were like, let's not do this unless there's going to be a lot of people in the audience, because we've already made ourselves into a good band, a good live band.
Right.
So like, we don't want to, we were playing, venues that, there was 5 people in the audience or whatever, that sort of thing, even less sometimes, and which I love doing. I don't even care. Honestly, I'll happily play for 5 people. And I think Elizabeth is the same way. But after a while, you kind of go like, maybe we should try to amass a larger amount of people to watch us to make it worth our time so we can make some money and sell some merch and get paid by the venue and all that stuff. So that's the point we're trying to get to now. We don't really know. I mean, we obviously, if you look at our socials and stuff, we have very good, impressive numbers there. But we still don't know what that translates into in the real world as far as like us going out and playing a live show. We don't know who's going to show up and see us. So we're being a little bit cautious about it, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that makes total sense.
So thanks for answering that, Elizabeth. That was a great answer.
DC's definitely on the list. I mean,
yeah, we played DC a couple times.
Oh,
and we love DC. I would say that's one of our favorite places to play. How many times have we played there? 3?
Yeah, I think so.
I love that city. I love that city.
One of them, I think, was technically, what was that place? Was that Maryland?
There's a bunch in Baltimore. Northern Virginia's got a bunch of places to play.
We played Richmond. We played Richmond. We played on the coast there. What's the name of that town? Norfolk. Played Norfolk a couple times.
Okay. Yeah, that's
Virginia Beach.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's like 4 hours away from me, unfortunately.
Totally.
But
yeah. Well,
nobody said that one place we really liked it, and then there was like a comedy night afterwards, and it was in like a brewery or something, and like the jokes were not landing. It was like a cute.
Oh God, I don't know.
It was like Epicure or something, and it was right outside of DC. In a different.
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I think that name might be. I don't know if it's still around or not, but
yeah. I gotta go.
Yeah, totally.
March.
Okay, no problem.
What's that?
I have to go, unfortunately.
Okay, Mark, we can finish it up.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Listen,
Thanks for having us.
Oh, my pleasure.
Bye, Lizzie Poo.
It's great to meet you, and hopefully I'll see you soon.
100%. All right, bye.
Bye-bye. What is the best way for people to follow the Dream Eaters? Social media accounts, their website? How do they follow you to find new music, new singles, hopefully future tour dates?
I mean, it really depends on your preference. Where the user's preference, I mean. Mm-hmm. We are on everything, basically. YouTube, Instagram. We're on Facebook. We're not so active with Facebook. I mean, I kind of just... Facebook is kind of a proxy for Instagram. So it kind of just like everything that we do on Instagram gets posted on Facebook, but I never look at it. What am I missing? Oh, TikTok. We're on TikTok.
That makes sense.
So as far as checking, like with TikTok and Linktree and anything that allows us to have a link that links to a website, we have, I said TikTok and Linktree. TikTok and Instagram. There is, if you click on the Linktree link, it'll have all the information that you could ever want. More information than you ever need about the Dream Eaters. And I actually really love Linktree, so it's a really great. Our little sort of website that we have on there is great. Okay. Tells you everything. Bandcamp is a good place to check us out too.
And is it just at the Dream Eaters, or is it just Dream Eaters, or? Oh,
okay. So they're both. I can never remember which is which. Let me look real quick. I got to fix this one day, but. I think Instagram is at We Are the Dream Eaters. Yeah. Instagram is the one that's at We Are the Dream Eaters, just like the name of the album. TikTok is just the Dream Eaters. I think absolutely everything else is the Dream Eaters, at the Dream Eaters. Every other thing besides Instagram is the Dream Eaters, except for Instagram, which is We Are the Dream Eaters.
Okay, awesome. Well, I know we've kind of gone over a couple of times. I wanted to thank you, and we lost Elizabeth there a minute ago, but I want to thank you both for coming on the podcast, because I love the album. The album artwork is hilarious. You know, it looks like a high school picture that somebody's taking, a yearbook picture that they scribbled over. It's just, it's hilarious.
You got it.
The thought that you guys put into everything is just amazing. The amount of detail in all of this just I love it. That's the kind of stuff that I love. The little details that hopefully I don't miss, but it's brilliant.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, it was awesome to meet you guys. Thank you so much.
Okay, man. Thank you. We really appreciate it.